My name is Sandra Ward, and I'm 31 years old. The thing about growing up as the family disappointment is that you start believing it's a permanent role, like your name or your blood type. In our house, love had a hierarchy, and my older sister Amanda sat comfortably at the top. She was born 3 years before me, all charm and light, while I was the quiet one, the afterthought, who somehow always made everything awkward. When we were kids, my mother used to say, Sandra's the serious one. Amanda's our sunshine. And maybe that was true. Amanda laughed louder, posed prettier in photos, and collected admiration like other people collected souvenirs. By the time we were adults, she'd perfected the art of performing success, a talent my family mistook for virtue. Amanda married Derek, an orthodontist with the kind of white smile that belonged in commercials. Together, they became the picture of suburban perfection. 2 luxury SUVs, 2 kids with matching Christmas pajamas, a house with an actual name, the Oaks, engraved on a gold plaque by the door. My parents beamed every time they visited. And me, I was the smart but dull one, according to family consensus. I worked as a financial analyst. It sounds respectable, right? But when my mother explained it to people, she'd wave her hand dismissively and say, "Oh, Sandra just crunches numbers for other people's money." Very boring. They never mentioned that I made more money than Amanda, or that I had zero debt, or that I managed investments that outperformed my boss's portfolio. Those details didn't fit the narrative. To them, I was the unremarkable sister, the one who still lived alone, dressed plainly, and brought store-bought pie to family dinners. The first time Amanda called me asking for help, I didn't even hesitate. It was a rainy Tuesday night around 11 p.m. Her voice trembled over the phone. Sandra, I made a mistake. Derek doesn't know. I maxed out one of our credit cards on the house renovation. The payment's due tomorrow and I'm short. Can you cover it just this once? I'll pay you back. It was $890. A drop in the ocean for me, but I could hear the panic in her tone, the same panic I used to feel as a kid when she'd beg me to cover for her broken vase or skipped curfew. I wired the money immediately. That's what sisters do, I told myself. She thanked me over and over, her relief palpable through the phone. And for a brief, fragile moment, I felt useful, maybe even loved. The second request came 3 months later. The renovation went over budget, she said, laughter forced. Just $1 and $200 this time. I promise it's the last time. It wasn't. The next year blurs into a quiet, invisible sacrifice. A car payment here, a loan there. Little emergencies that always sounded reasonable because Amanda was so good at sounding desperate. She never said the word help. She said things like, "You're literally saving my marriage," or "I'll pay you next week, I swear." Each promise stacked like bricks in a wall of denial. By the end of year 1, I'd paid $23,000 of her debt. By the end of year 4, $41, $300, mostly minimum payments that barely touched the principal. I had spreadsheets to track it all, not because I wanted proof, but because it helped me stay sane. The analyst in me couldn't stop calculating how long it would take for her to drown. Sometimes when I transferred the money, I'd imagine her scrolling through luxury handbags online or clinking glasses with her friends at rooftop bars. I'd picture her smiling in photos that my mother proudly reposted on Facebook. And then I'd look around my apartment, small, quiet, clean, and feel something dark settle in my chest. Guilt, resentment, maybe both. My mother used to say, family helps family. But what she really meant was Sandra helps Amanda. Because if I ever mentioned the stress, or hinted at stopping Mom's tone would shift to pity. "Oh, sweetheart, Amanda's under so much pressure. You wouldn't understand. She's raising 2 kids and keeping up appearances." Keeping up appearances. That was the family's true religion. I started noticing the pattern, how every compliment toward Amanda came with a subtle comparison to me. "She's such a devoted mother, unlike you always working. She just knows how to light up a room. She's had such bad luck financially, poor thing." Poor thing. That phrase clung to Amanda like perfume. I wanted to scream that she wasn't unlucky, she was reckless. But I never did, because part of me still wanted their approval, even after all these years. So I kept paying, quietly, consistently, every first of the month like clockwork. The automatic transfers felt like a confession. I couldn't stop making proof that no matter how smart or independent I was, I still craved love I could only buy. Late at night, when my bank app showed another transfer confirmed, I'd whisper to myself, "It's just money." But deep down, I knew it wasn't. It was my silence, my dignity, my time all converted into numbers on a screen. And Amanda. She never stopped smiling. Her Instagram became a highlight reel of luxury vacations to Greece, Maldives, Cabo. New Burberry coat, Cartier bracelet, hashtags like hashtag blessed and hash grateful life. Blessed mon. Grateful to who exactly? The night before Thanksgiving, I checked my email and saw another automated reminder. Scheduled transfer, 3:0600. Tomorrow 9 a.m. I stared at it for a long time. My thumb hovered over the cancel button, but I didn't press it. Not yet. Because I still believed foolishly that Amanda would change. That's the cruelest thing about hope. It feels like loyalty while it's quietly killing you. I closed my laptop and sat in the dark listening to the faint hum of the city outside. For the first time, a thought surfaced, one that made my stomach twist. What if she's not going to stop? I wanted to believe I was helping her climb out of a hole, but deep down I feared I was the one shoveling the dirt. Tomorrow would be Thanksgiving. The whole family together again. The same smiles, the same hierarchy. And me with my quiet secret that behind all her sparkle and success, Amanda's world was being held up by my hands. Only this time I felt something shift, a splinter of anger, small but sharp. And I didn't know it then, but that anger, that tiny buried ember, was about to set everything on fire. Money has a strange way of warping love. At first it feels like generosity, proof that you care enough to ease someone else's burden. But over time it becomes something uglier, a leash. A silent chain you wrap around your own throat. For 4 years, I lived on that chain. Every month, the same ritual. The first of the month, open my banking app. Check balances, confirm 6 scheduled transfers, credit cards, loans, car payments, insurance. All under Amanda's name. My thumb would hover over the send button, and for a heartbeat, I'd imagine what else I could do with that money. A trip to Italy maybe, a down payment on a bigger apartment, or something small and selfish like the leather jacket I'd wanted for years but couldn't justify buying. Then the guilt would sink in. She's family. You can't just abandon her. And I'd hit confirm. The thing about guilt is it disguises itself as virtue. By year 2, I could sense Amanda's calls shifting in tone. Less desperate, more entitled. She stopped saying thank you as often. Stopped promising to pay me back. It was just assumed now I was her backup plan. Once I tried to bring it up gently. Hey, maybe we can create a budget together. Look at where the money's going. Her response was light, almost mocking. Oh my God, Sandra, you sound like my financial therapist. I'm serious, I said quietly. So am I. Relax, you're so intense. I'll figure it out. She never did. There were moments, little cracks in the facade, when I almost stopped. One night after transferring another, $200, I sat on my couch, staring at the empty mug in my hands. My therapist, the one luxury I allowed myself, had once asked me, "Why do you always choose to be the responsible one? Who told you that was love?" I didn't have an answer, maybe because I'd grown up earning affection through usefulness. Because when I was helpful, I was tolerated. And when I wasn't, I disappeared. Amanda's debt ballooned quietly. $28,000 became $40,000, then $60,000. But every time I considered cutting her off, my mother's voice echoed in my head. Family helps family. Once, when I mentioned to Mom that Amanda might need to rein in her spending, she sighed. Oh, sweetheart, she just wants nice things for her kids. You'd understand if you had children. That stung more than I wanted to admit. I'd never married, never even brought anyone home. Amanda used to joke Sandra's married to her spreadsheets. And everyone would laugh, like I was some tragic footnote in Amanda's golden story. What no one knew was that I'd had relationships, quiet, private, fleeting ones. But every time I started to care, something in me would pull back. It was hard to trust anyone when the people who were supposed to love you had taught you that affection always came with a bill. By year 3, Amanda's excuses started to blur together. Derek doesn't know. The kids needed new clothes. It's just temporary, always temporary. And me, I adjusted my life around her debt like it was my own. I declined promotions that required more travel because I needed financial stability. I stopped saving for a house. My life shrank while hers expanded. New vacations, new handbags, new posts captioned with, "Grateful for everything I have." Everything she had was mine. Still, I said nothing. Because that's what peacekeepers do. We eat our own anger to keep everyone else comfortable. But silence has an expiration date. The cracks started small. One day I missed a call from Amanda, and within minutes she'd texted, "Sandra, this is urgent. The card's due today. Where's the transfer?" "No, please. No, thank you. Just panic disguised as authority," I replied. "I'm at work. I'll send it tonight." Her response came instantly. You should have sent it this morning. I'm getting late fees because of you. Because of me. Something in my chest twisted that tiny ember from before, glowing faintly. A week later, when I sent the payment, she didn't even acknowledge it. But she did post a story that night, a champagne glass glittering nails the caption, #Friday. Feels. I didn't confront her. I just saved the post. Not out of pettiness, out of clarity. I was beginning to understand who she was. Still, I couldn't stop. Every time I pictured her voice breaking on the phone, every time she said, if Derek finds out he'll leave me, I caved. I told myself I was keeping the family together, that I was protecting her kids. But the truth was simpler. I was addicted to being needed. By the start of year 4, the total I'd paid had crossed $41,000. I knew the exact figure because I couldn't stop tracking it like a scientist watching her own slow implosion. Then, one night out of nowhere, Derek called me. Sandra. Hey, he said awkwardly. Sorry to bother you. Amanda said you helped her with some finances before. Do you happen to know a good debt consolidation service? My heart froze. Debt consolidation. Yeah. She mentioned you were really good with money, and I figured you'd know someone reliable. There was no accusation in his tone, just innocence, which was somehow worse. I forced a smile he couldn't see. Sure, I'll email you a few recommendations. When I hung up, I sat there for a long time, listening to the sound of my own breathing. Derek didn't know. She'd kept him completely in the dark. And I, her so-called enabler, was complicit in the lie. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, counting the glow of the streetlights on my walls. Something about Derek's casual question cracked the illusion I'd been living under. Amanda wasn't trying to fix things, she was hiding them, and I was her accomplice. A week later, she texted again. Emergency, $3,600. Please send by tomorrow. Derek's checking the statements. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering. I almost typed no, the word that had been locked inside me for 4 years. But then I heard my mother's voice again. Sandra, she's your sister. So I sighed, transferred the money, and whispered last time. But even as I said it, I didn't believe myself. 4 years of silence. 4 years of pretending everything was fine. 4 years of watching her build her castle on top of my savings. And all it would take to bring that castle down, I didn't know yet, was one Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving morning dawned bright and cold, the kind of brittle November day where the air feels sharp enough to cut. I woke early, baked nothing, and bought a pie from the grocery store bakery because that's what I always did. I wasn't trying to compete. I knew my role: show up, smile, and stay invisible. As I drove toward my parents' house, I could already imagine the scene: my mother flitting around in her cream sweater set, the house smelling of cinnamon and money. My father setting out the good china. Amanda arriving late, glowing like she'd just stepped out of an ad for happiness. And me, the sister with the store-bought dessert. When I pulled into the driveway, there were already too many cars parked along the curb. The windows glowed warm with light. I carried the pie and smiled politely, and was met with the usual lukewarm hugs. Sweetheart, you look so tired, my mother said, scanning me up and down. Long week, I replied, setting the pie on the counter. From the dining room, I heard laughter. Amanda's laughter. Unmistakable and polished. A few minutes later, she swept in wearing a camel Burberry coat and carrying a massive charcuterie board arranged like an art piece. Sorry we're late, she sang. I was at the spa all morning. Self-care Sunday, you know. My mother's face lit up like Christmas lights. You deserve it, darling. You work so hard. I stood there, pie in hand, while Mom kissed Amanda's cheek and raved about her presentation. For a moment, I caught my reflection in the kitchen window, hair pulled back, plain sweater, quiet eyes, and thought, you don't belong here. Dinner went exactly as expected. Derek discussed his orthodontic practice. Amanda showed off photos from their upcoming trip to Turks and Caicos. My cousins bragged about promotions, new houses, engagements. When the conversation turned to me, my mother smiled the way people smile at employees they don't plan to promote. Sandra's still doing her number thing, she said. Very stable work, my father added, like he was complimenting a sturdy piece of furniture. That's wonderful, Aunt Susan chimed in. Not everyone can be creative like Amanda. Amanda tilted her head modestly. Oh, please. But her smile said, yes, please. I forced a small laugh and reached for my water glass. The humiliation came later, quiet at first, like a whisper that turned into thunder. My younger cousin Maya mentioned she was struggling with student loans. It's just so overwhelming, she said softly. I'm barely making the minimum payments. I opened my mouth to offer advice. It's literally what I do for a living. But before I could speak, my mother cut in. Not everyone wants to hear about numbers and spreadsheets, dear. The words stung more than they should have. You should talk to Amanda, Mom continued. She's so good with money. Look at that beautiful house. Amanda smiled, twirling her wine glass. Honestly, it's all about discipline. You just have to budget better and maybe get a side hustle. I bit the inside of my cheek so hard I tasted blood. Later, while clearing dishes, I found Maya alone in the kitchen. Hey, I said gently. I have some resources about loan consolidation. I could send you. Oh my God, Sandra. Amanda's voice sliced through the air. She stood in the doorway, glass in hand, her tone sharp beneath the sugary smile. Can you not? I froze. I was just trying to help. She doesn't need your help, Amanda snapped. She needs real advice, not whatever you're selling. I'm not selling anything, I said, heart pounding. Amanda laughed, that cruel, effortless laugh I'd learned to dread. That's literally your only skill, talking about numbers. You can't just insert yourself into every conversation. My father appeared drawn by the tension. What's going on? Amanda thinks I shouldn't give Maya financial advice, I said quietly. Amanda shrugged. I just think it's funny that she's trying to give anyone advice when she can barely manage her own finances. The room went still. What are you talking about? My father asked. Amanda's eyes gleamed, a predator, catching the scent of weakness. Come on. We all know Sandra's always short on cash. That's why she lives in that tiny apartment. That's why she never travels. That's why she dresses like... She gestured vaguely at me. This. Heat flooded my face. That's not true. Please, she said, rolling her eyes. You're constantly asking for money. It's embarrassing. I've never asked you for a dime, I whispered. She smiled like a knife. Just last month you called me about bills. I felt the world tilt. She's rewriting the story right in front of them. I called you to remind you. To remind me to send you money, she interrupted. Honestly, I feel bad for you, but at some point you need to take responsibility for your choices. My mother's hand found her chest. Sandra, if you're struggling, you should have told us. I'm not. There's no shame in it, my father said, voice heavy with disappointment. I looked around the room at their faces so quick to believe her. Of course they did. She was Amanda, the golden child, and me, I was the reliable disappointment. Amanda turned back to Maya. See what I mean? Always so defensive. Her words buzzed in my ears louder and louder until something in me snapped. I took out my phone. Sandra, my mother warned. What are you doing? Taking responsibility, I said calmly. I opened my banking app. There they were, 6 scheduled transfers to Amanda's accounts. Credit cards, car payments, loans. Stop begging for money, Amanda sneered. It's humiliating. You're right, I said softly. And then one by one I canceled them. Payment 1 canceled. Amanda blinked. What are you? Payment 2 canceled. Sandra, stop. Payment 3, 4, 5, 6. Each click echoed like a gunshot. Done. The room was silent except for the faint clink of Amanda's glass as her hand trembled. Seconds later, her phone buzzed. Once, twice, then again. Notifications stacking up like falling dominoes. What is that? My mother asked. Amanda's eyes flicked down. The color drained from her face. It's nothing. Her phone buzzed again, loud, insistent. Are you going to answer it? My father asked. It's spam, she muttered, voice thin. I set my phone down, steady as ever. You're right, Amanda. I shouldn't make my problems your responsibility. And I walked out past the stunned silence, past the perfect decorations, past the family who had never seen me at all. Behind me, her phone rang again. And this time she didn't pick up. The next morning, I woke to the sound of my phone vibrating against the nightstand. 10 missed calls, 6 voicemails, all from Amanda. I stared at the screen for a long moment, half expecting guilt to kick in, that familiar ache that always drove me to fix things. But instead there was silence, a kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. When I finally listened to the voicemails, the progression was predictable. The first was furious. What the hell did you do? My payments aren't going through. Fix this right now, Sandra. The second was frantic. Please, I don't understand. The bank called. My cards are frozen. Just call me back, okay? By the third, her voice cracked into sobs. I'm serious, Sandra. This isn't funny. Derek's asking questions. Please. And then my mother's voice. Sandra, your sister is very upset. I don't know what's going on, but you need to fix it. Family doesn't behave this way. Family. The word sounded foreign now. I deleted the messages, made myself coffee, and opened my laptop. Years of bank records, payment confirmations, and text messages, all of it meticulously saved. I created a spreadsheet, every date, every transaction, every total. 4 years of silence reduced to neat rows and columns. By the time I finished, it was a 47-page PDF time-stamped and backed up to 3 cloud drives. I didn't know what I'd ever do with it, but having the proof mattered. It made my reality undeniable. When my phone rang again, unknown number this time, I answered. Miss Ward, this is Janet from Chase Bank. I'm calling regarding recurring payments on an account ending in 7734. I need to confirm your authorization to cancel them. Yes, I said. I set them up, and I'm canceling them effective immediately. You understand this may cause late fees for the cardholder. I do. May I ask why you were paying someone else's credit card? A family arrangement, I said flatly. That's over. She hesitated, then her tone softened. Understood. The cancellation is confirmed. When I hung up, I realized my hands weren't shaking. For once, I wasn't afraid. 5 minutes later, Amanda texted, "The bank called me. You canceled everything. Why would you do this to me?" I typed back, "You said I needed to stop asking you for money. I'm respecting your wishes." She replied instantly, "That's not what I meant, and you know it." You were very clear, Amanda. I have $87K in debt. I can't make these payments. I stared at that last message, $87,000. The admission sat there on my screen, undeniable. Then maybe you shouldn't have spent $87,000, I typed. This isn't my responsibility anymore. I muted the thread. By afternoon, my mother called. Sandra, what have you done? I stopped paying her bills. You what? I've been paying Amanda's credit cards, car insurance, and loans for 4 years, I said evenly. Over $41,000 in total. Last night, she called me a beggar in front of the entire family, so I stopped. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Sandra, that's not, she didn't mean. She called me embarrassing mom, while I was paying for her life. She's your sister, Mom whispered, as if that excused everything. She's a grown woman who's been lying to her husband and to you, I replied, and I'm done being her safety net. Sandra, please. No, you always taught me that actions have consequences. Well, these are hers. I hung up. That night, my father called. His tone was low, careful, the way it gets when he's about to make a speech about family duty. Your mother tells me you've cut Amanda off. I have. She's in real trouble. The credit card companies are calling the house. They're threatening collections. She got herself there, Dad. You don't care if she ruins her credit. Should I? He sighed long and theatrical. You've changed, Sandra. You used to be kind. I closed my eyes. No, Dad. I used to be useful. He didn't respond. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed, the silence pressing around me. For the first time, I felt the weight of everything I'd carried, and how light it felt to finally set it down. The next few days turned into a slow avalanche. Amanda's texts shifted from anger to manipulation to desperation. You don't understand what this is doing to me. Derek's furious. He might leave. Please, Sandra, I'll pay you back this time. Each message was a variation of the same refrain, panic wrapped in self-pity. And still I didn't reply. I started sleeping better, eating better, breathing easier. I realized how much of my life had revolved around her chaos, the late-night calls, the financial anxiety that wasn't even mine. Without it, my apartment felt quiet in a way that wasn't lonely, just peaceful. Then, on the 4th night, a new voice entered the story. Maya called. The cousin from Thanksgiving, the one Amanda had humiliated me in front of. Hi, Sandra. It's Maya. I hope this isn't weird, but can we talk? Of course. I just wanted to say I'm so sorry about what happened. I didn't know what was going on, but hearing her talk to you like that, it made me sick. I hesitated. Thank you. That means a lot. She exhaled shakily, and, well, my mom's been talking to your mom. Apparently Amanda's having a financial crisis, and it has something to do with you. I laughed softly. That's one way to put it. Sandra, what actually happened? She'd been in debt for years, I said carefully. I was helping her with payments. She lied about it. Thanksgiving was the breaking point. Maya was silent for a long time. You were helping her. For how long? 4 years. How much? I didn't want to answer, but she waited. About $41,000. Her gasp was audible. She called you a beggar while you were paying her bills. Yes. Jesus Christ, you have to tell everyone. No, I said firmly. If I do, I'll look vindictive. Let her own actions speak for themselves. But Maya, bless her righteous Gen Z heart, didn't believe in silence. The next evening, my Aunt Susan called. Honey Maya told us everything. We had no idea. What Amanda did was beyond cruel. I don't want to talk about it, I said. Sandra, the whole family's shocked. Your Uncle Frank is ready to march over there. Please don't. This isn't about revenge, it's about boundaries. Yet despite my wish for peace, the truth had begun to leak, and with it came consequences. By Friday morning, I had missed calls from almost everyone in the family, some apologetic, some furious. But the one that made my heart stop was from Derek. When I answered, his voice was quiet, strained. Sandra, she told me everything. I waited. The credit cards, the loans, the fact that you've been paying. I'm sorry you had to find out like this. I'm sorry you had to live like this, he said. I had no idea. She told me she was managing fine, that she had her own savings. I could hear him inhale shaky. You were protecting her, while she lied to everyone, including you. I didn't know what to say, so I said the only truth that mattered. It's done now. She doesn't deserve your kindness, he said quietly, but thank you for giving it anyway. When the call ended, I sat there in the half-light of my apartment phone, still warm in my hand. For the first time in my life, someone had seen the truth and believed me. It wasn't validation, it was freedom. But I didn't realize then that Amanda wasn't finished. Because when someone's entire identity depends on being the hero, they don't accept becoming the villain easily. And the next time I saw her, she would be standing at my door, makeup streaked, voice shaking, saying the one word I never thought I'd hear from her lips. Please. She showed up on a rainy Friday night, the kind of night when the city hums low and even the streetlights look tired. When I opened the door, Amanda was standing there, no makeup, hair limp and wet from the drizzle, a gray hoodie pulled tight around her face. The woman who once wore designer coats and diamond bracelets now looked like someone who had run out of places to hide. Sandra, she whispered, voice cracking. Can I come in? For a second, I considered saying no. Every part of me wanted to protect the fragile peace I'd found, but old habits die hard. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, eyes darting around my small apartment like she was cataloging all the ways it was beneath her, or maybe for the first time noticing that it wasn't. You redecorated, she said softly, as if searching for neutral ground. I moved the couch, I replied. A thin smile flickered across her face. It looks cozy. I stayed standing. Why are you here, Amanda? Her eyes welled immediately. I messed up. Okay, I messed up so bad. I know what I said at Thanksgiving was horrible. I wasn't thinking. I wanted everyone to see me as successful, not as some failure drowning in debt. I folded my arms. So you made me the failure instead. Her shoulders sagged. I was drunk. I was stupid. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did, I said quietly. That's what makes it worse. Tears slid down her face. Please, Sandra. The banks are calling nonstop. They've frozen my cards. Derek's furious. He's talking about selling the SUV, canceling the Turks and Caicos trip. He says I have to get a job. I can't. Good. Her head snapped up. What? Good, I repeated. You should get a job. You should sell the SUV. You should face what you created. Her lip trembled. If Derek finds out how deep it is, he'll leave me. I looked her dead in the eye. He already knows. She blinked, stunned. What? He called me 2 days ago. He knows everything. For a moment, she just stood there breathing shallowly. Then she crumpled onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. Oh my God, she whispered. This is going to ruin my life. No, I said softly. Your lying did that. She looked up at me, then mascara-smudged face blotchy. You don't understand. I just wanted to be admired. Mom always talked about how perfect you were with money. I wanted something that was mine. I almost laughed at the irony. You wanted admiration so badly you built it on debt and deception. Sandra, please, she sobbed. Just until I can get back on my feet. A few more months. I'll get a job. I promise. I shook my head. You promised 4 years ago. I kept believing you. I can't do that anymore. For a second, I saw something flash in her eyes, not sorrow, but fury. That old entitlement flickering beneath the tears. You think you're better than me, she hissed. No, I said. Just freer. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Then her voice broke again, smaller this time. I really am sorry, Sandra. I don't know how to fix this. I opened the door. Start by trying. She left without another word. The next 3 weeks felt like watching a building collapse in slow motion. Derek, to his credit, handled the disaster like a surgeon. He took control of every account, canceled the luxury cards, sold Amanda's SUV, and made her get a retail job at a local boutique. She hates it, my mother told me one afternoon, as if that were the real tragedy. Standing all day, folding clothes. Can you imagine? Yes, I said, I can imagine. Sandra, she's miserable. Don't you feel bad? I felt bad for 4 years, I replied. Now I feel fine. Word spread through the family like wildfire. Everyone had an opinion. Aunt Susan thought Amanda got what she deserved. Uncle Frank called it a wake-up call. My cousins created a group chat called We Stand Sandra, which I muted immediately. But the strangest reaction came from my father. He sent a short text one evening. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. I should have done that years ago. It was the first kind thing he'd said to me in months, maybe years. My mother, though, clung stubbornly to denial. She tried to organize a family reconciliation dinner. I declined. Sandra, please, she begged. It's Christmas. Your sister needs support. She needed support, I said, and she had it. Now she needs accountability. She sighed dramatically. You sound so cold. A week later, Derek called again. His voice was softer this time. She's different, he said. The job, the therapy, the financial counselor. It's humbling her. Good, I said. She told me she apologized to you. She did. Do you forgive her? I hesitated. I believe she's sorry she got caught. I'm not sure she's sorry for what she did. He exhaled. That's fair. Then, after a pause, for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. She needed this. When we hung up, I realized how strange it felt having someone finally take my side without conditions. Christmas came and went. Amanda and I were polite at dinner, civil. She'd lost weight. Her nails were unpolished. She barely touched the champagne. I noticed she kept glancing at her phone, checking notifications that never came. Derek sat beside her, calm but distant. When our eyes met, he gave me a small, grateful nod. My mother tried to lighten the mood. It's so nice to see both my girls together again, she said brightly. Neither of us responded. After dinner, while everyone gathered for dessert, Amanda approached me in the hallway. Her voice was soft, almost childlike. I'm really trying, you know. Therapy, the job, the budgeting. He's helping me. I'm glad, I said. She hesitated. I'll pay you back. It might take years, but I will. I studied her for a moment. There was something different in her tone this time. Not pride, not performance. Just exhaustion. I hope you do, I said. Not because I need the money. Because you need to prove to yourself you can. Her eyes glistened. You really hate me, don't you? No, I said quietly. But I don't trust you, and that's worse. She nodded. Slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks. I'll earn it back. When she walked away, I realized something had shifted, not in her, but in me. The anger that had once burned inside me was cooling, hardening into something steadier. Not revenge, not forgiveness, just release. Because the truth was simple. I didn't need her to fall. I just needed to stop holding her up. 6 months passed. The world didn't end. Amanda didn't vanish in shame. And I, for the first time in a decade, started living without waiting for the next disaster. It's strange how silence feels different when it's yours by choice. My apartment felt larger somehow, like the air itself had stopped bracing for crisis. I spent evenings cooking for myself, reading again, even signing up for a weekend pottery class. Little things that required presence, not penance. Amanda texted occasionally, always brief, always restrained. Started therapy, got a raise at the boutique, cut up my last credit card today. I never knew how to respond. Sometimes I didn't. Then one morning, a new message came in image this time, a screenshot of a payment confirmation. $500 transfer, first repayment, followed by, it'll take me forever, but I'm going to pay you back every dollar. I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to reject it, to say, forget it, we're even. But I didn't. She needed to repay it not for me, but for herself. Received. Thank you, I typed back. Nothing more, no emojis, no softening words, just truth. And strangely, that single transaction did something no apology ever had it made the past real. It acknowledged the debt, the damage, the years I'd spent invisible. The following week, my mother called. Her voice was careful, measured, as if she were stepping onto a frozen lake. Your sister's doing better, she said. Derek says she's sticking with counseling. That's good. She still feels awful about everything. She should. A pause, then softer. You sound happy, Sandra. I smiled. I am. Maybe she heard the finality in my tone because she didn't push further. For once, she didn't try to fix me back into the role that served everyone else. Derek reached out a few weeks later, too. Just a short email. She's staying accountable. Thank you for forcing us all to see the truth. The phrase lingered in my mind, forcing us to see. That's what boundaries are, really. Not walls. Mirrors. By summer, Amanda and I found a fragile rhythm. We spoke at family gatherings, smiled for photos, exchanged polite small talk. No tears, no explosions, no false intimacy. Just coexistence. It was almost peaceful. At Easter, she brought her kids to my apartment for the first time. They ran around the living room, laughing, bumping into furniture. Amanda stood by the window, hands clasped nervously. They still ask why they don't see you more, she said quietly. I needed space, I said. She nodded. I know, I deserve that. For a moment, she looked smaller, not fragile, but real. You know, she murmured. Mom always compared us. Said you were the smart one and I was the pretty one. I spent half my life trying to prove I could be both. I thought if I looked successful, she'd finally love me more than you. I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt toward her in years, pity. Not the condescending kind, the human kind. She loved you anyway, I said. She just showed it wrong. Amanda laughed bitterly. Maybe, but so did I. Her eyes met mine, raw and unguarded. You don't have to forgive me. I just needed you to know I'm trying to be better. I believed her. Not completely, not forever, but enough. After they left, I sat on the couch, the new couch I'd bought with my own money, the one that smelled faintly of leather and peace, and realized something profound. Forgiveness wasn't a single moment. It was a series of quiet decisions to stop reopening the wound, to stop wishing the past had gone differently, to stop needing her to understand everything she'd broken. A year after Thanksgiving, I met Maya for coffee. She'd finished consolidating her student loans. We'd saved her $14,000 in interest. She was glowing. I feel like my life actually belongs to me now, she said, grinning. I smiled. Good. That's the best kind of freedom. She stirred her drink. You know, everyone in the family talks about what you did standing up like that. They say it changed how we all see things. Did it? I asked. Yeah, she said. You made us realize that sometimes love isn't covering someone's mess. It's letting them clean it themselves. I didn't respond. But inside, something loosened, a quiet sense of peace blooming where guilt used to live. That night, as I sat by my window watching the city lights flicker, I thought about everything that had happened. About the girl I used to be, the quiet scapegoat, the peacemaker, the invisible one. About the woman I'd become, steady, unapologetic, no longer mistaking sacrifice for love. I still work as a financial analyst. I still live simply. I still drive the same modest car. But the $600 a month I once sent to Amanda now goes into investments. My portfolio's up 34% since last year. Sometimes I think about Amanda's new job, standing at that boutique counter, smiling politely at customers who remind her of the woman she used to pretend to be. I wonder if she hates it, or if in her quiet moments she's grateful for the lesson. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. At our next family dinner, my mother raised a glass. To family, she said. Amanda and I locked eyes across the table. For the first time in years, there was no resentment, no competition, just mutual exhaustion and maybe understanding. I raised my glass too. To family, I echoed. But in my heart, the word finally meant something different. The people you choose to keep whole without losing yourself in the process. As the conversation drifted on, I felt a calm certainty settle over me. I wasn't the family scapegoat anymore. I wasn't the rescuer, the fixer, or the silent punching bag. I was just Sandra Ward, 32 years old, whole steady, and finally free. And for the first time in my life, that was enough.